penis, conservatively... I thought I could get through it without laughing. Peen-ass. How about that? Peen-ass. Or a pnas. Maybe that's how we should. Okay, how about this? The Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Penis. Penis conservatively estimated that 22% of these stars have an Earth-like planet with liquid water around it. And that is something that was published right here. You see, now what good is penis if it doesn't have publicity? You got to publicize your penis. That way, people know that it's there and that it's very interesting. And it's going to shower them with love. Boy, I got to stop right now. That's just enough. My God. They have stiff competition. And they're penetrating insights into the depths of science. Rigorous scientific discoveries. Thoroughly peer-reviewed. Boy, oh boy. 22% of all the stars that look like us have planets with water on them, like the Earth. That totally changes everything, dude. That's like a whole new way of looking at things. So, when we do the math, it comes out that at least 1% of all the stars in the entire cosmos have a potentially habitable Earth-like planet with oceans and lakes and mountains. Wow. 1% of all the stars in the universe. Thank you, penis. That's 100 billion Earth-like planets. Which means, now get a load of this, there are 100 Earth-like planets for every grain of sand in the world. There's a lot of stuff out there. And then, if we make a very conservative assumption, especially in light of what I just showed you, because what did I just show you with Dr. Luc Montagnier? He cooks the 2 test tubes, right? The plain water turns into what? DNA. What did I show you with Pacheco? He takes ordinary beach sand, which is just silicon dioxide, puts it in water, waits 24 hours. What happens? Little critters, like that guy that's pissed off. Okay? So if we assume, which is very erroneous, only 1% of Earth-like planets have life on them, then what do we get? If it'll go, there we go. Every grain of sand on Earth represents an inhabited world in the cosmos. Trip out on that one the next time you're walking down the beach. Just be careful where you're stepping because they might not like it. Ow! 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 Right? That's a lot of worlds. Holy smokes! Forget about Horton Hears a Who. Remember that Dr. Seuss book, right? He's looking at this little dust particle, and there's a whole world on it. Every particle of sand on the beach on every beach in the world, that's one entire civilized world that could have billions of life forms. Trillions of life forms. But the astonishing stuff goes on. It's even crazier than that. Again, they're being very, very conservative here, based on what I was showing you, considering life exists as a blueprint. Assume that 1% of those planets have life that advances to an intelligent level, at least to the level of where we are now. That's not difficult to assume, because we suck. There's a lot farther you can go, right? We're still trying to figure out if we're going to blow each other up. And we're still playing my God is better than your God. God's a freaking Merkaba, okay? He's not going anywhere. He's waiting for you. He, she, it. 1% life advances to an intelligent level. That means that there are 10 quadrillion or 10 million billion intelligent civilizations in the universe. Wow. Now, for the final coup de grace, to tie this all together, we take that same math and we apply it to the Milky Way, to our own home backyard corner. If we do that, if we take the same new formula that we were just working, it cranks out 1 billion planets that we could go move to and live on in our galaxy. 1 billion planets that we could go set up shop in, colonize, build SUVs, and frickin' factory farm cattle and all the good stuff that we love. McDonald's hamburgers. And chemtrails. We'll just start spraying as soon as we get there. Everything from the comforts of home. Spray it up. We're here now. We're Americans. We don't want the sun warming us up too much. Spray that shit. It's getting too hot in here. If we take the same math, we get 100,000 intelligent, habitable worlds that already have civilizations on them. And based on what is said in the Law of One material, they estimate approximately 100 million inhabited planets in our galaxy. That's what they said. And this is based on the cosmic data that came out in the early 1980s that, as I said, I've validated hundreds of data points from this data that confirm what's going on here. 100 million civilizations. So, sorry, old Uncle Drake, but the game has changed. Skeptics are no longer going to get paid off by this nonsense. What has happened, right? Every grain of sand in the entire world is potentially a habitable world that may actually have an intelligent civilization on it. That's really trippy. Think about how many people have made guitars and drums and jazz bands and stuff, right? It's the same harmonics. Those are universal laws. People are singing, right? They write music. There's going to be some incredible commonalities. And what's the idea? The universe is all emanating from that single geometric cluster. It appears that it's multiple, but it's actually all coming from a singular identity. So there's a lot more commonality than we think, because it's all this one creator, it's one identity. This diagram came out from NASA during the same time frame, May of this year, and they splashed it all over the media, the current potentially habitable exoplanets. These are just the ones that are really, really close, as this next slide illustrates. All the stars that we see in the night sky consist of a small selection of the very brightest and nearest stars within this tiny little red circle. So think about that for a minute. Think about how many stars are out there, and those exoplanets I just showed you in the previous slide are all right next door, and they all are like the Earth. So there's lots and lots of stuff out there. So this is another thought experiment they do in that piece. You start with the Big Bang. Let's assume that earlier along in the cosmos, a planet was born 8 billion years ago. Earth was born 4.54 billion years ago, and now we're at the present day. So this planet gets about a 3.5 billion year head start over the Earth. Okay? Just hypothetically, let's assume that. Now check this out. If we then take the Earth and put it at the beginning of the graph, and we crank out the 4.54 billion years, and then we compare Planet X to that, and then we look at, read the red up in the middle there. Planet X was at our current level of intelligence and technology back here. Planet X has now had 3.46 billion years to develop beyond the level of human civilization today. And that's the length of time between Tyrannosaurus Rex's extinction and the present day, is where that orange line is up to the end. So the idea here is that life can go a lot farther than that. Now, I think they're letting me run over. I don't see anybody trying to yank me off the stage here, because there is something coming up at 9:30. I'm only scheduled till 8:30. Would you like me to keep talking? Yeah. Public uprising. I love to create a public uprising. I figured that's what would happen. Public uprising. Thank you. Just in case they were going to yank me off stage, I just wanted to point out, we're talking about disclosure, the dream, and the reality. Tomorrow morning at 11:15, and this is at Noble Hall, it's not in here, I have a workshop. It's like a $24.99 extra cost, and I'm going to be talking about the 1950s extraterrestrial humans, because that's the next big thing that we're going to look at is humans are showing up, because remember those little pieces of DNA in the water? And remember how the critters show up in the water? Well, ultimately, the key here is that the human form must be part of quantum physics. It's a basic pattern that makes life throughout the cosmos. So we're going to talk about these human-looking ETs that actually showed up right here. They were landing their ships right here, and this land was built to be right next to where that's happening. It's right over there in Giant Rock. And what we're going to do is explore different people who were contacted all over America, and they all independently could answer the same 100-part questionnaire, and they got the same answers, even though they never talked to each other about things like, do the people on Mars use money? And if so, what type of money does it look like? What do their houses look like? All these different people answered these questions the same way, and they'd never spoken to each other. And this center was where all the gatherings were happening, where some of these contactees were speaking and doing talks. And this was all like 50, 60 years ago. So what all of these channelings say, now remember, they're coming through very cleanly. This is before there was any information to contaminate it. They describe a golden age coming, and I am going to get into that at the end of this talk, but we're going to go a lot deeper tomorrow. Then at 1 p.m. on Monday, I'm going to go into synchronicity, the rainbow body, and ascension. And that's the 3-hour intensive where I'm going to really get into how the Tibetans told you to make the next leap in human evolution. Because think about it. If this is the level that you're at right now, there's a lot farther we can go. We're part of a programmed evolutionary curve. So I'm actually going to go into the teachings that really worked, that people practiced, and 160,000 people burst into their light body.
What about the whistleblowers?
And I want to point out one more thing. We are getting into the whistleblowers. That's what's coming up next year. If you don't actually sign up for my show through wisdomteachings.com, I don't get any financial credit for you doing it. So please, if you're interested in my show, it's a half an hour of the stuff that you're hearing now every week. We've already got 81 episodes in the can. And sign up for it there, wisdomteachings.com. It's $9.95 a month. You have a 10-day free trial. And you can make this a part of your life. You can look forward to Monday. Right? Which is a good thing. All right. So enough of the commercial. Let's get back to the stuff you paid to see right now. The shadow government, there is a race going on for disclosure. Some people want it, some people really don't. All the things I've showed you from NASA, that's the white hats. That's the good guys trying to get this out, trying to break the stranglehold on free energy and anti-gravity technology. And there's a very nasty war going on right now between the old guard and the new guard. And the old guard is trying to stop this. So this one shows up in June 13th. Pentagon is studying to prepare for a mass civil breakdown. They want this to happen. Pope Francis very recently said that the global economy is near to the point of collapse. But at the same time, we have this fascinating alliance, which I've been talking about for years, and now I get to play I told you so, right? A lot of people said, oh, David Wilcock, he's blowing his own smoke, he's tooting his horn, da-da-da-da-da. We have Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa who have now unified together